Welcome to another Painting with D. And since it's officially spooky season, I thought it might be fun to combine my interests and design a tombstone boogie board. To start off, drawing out the shape wasn't as easy as I'd imagined. It took several attempts to nail down a shape I thought I was pretty familiar with, seeing as I've used and owned several boogie boards over the years. In the end, however, I feel like I finally got something I was happy with. Time for cutting. And this week, say hello to my little friend. That's right, I've upgraded. After the fiasco with the coping saw in last week's video, I decided enough was enough. The coping saw just wasn't going to cut it anymore. I went out and bought myself a decent jigsaw, and now I'm finally getting to use it. No more hand cramps, no more awkward cutting angles or jammed up blades, and especially important, a lot less splitting and chipping. Although the jigsaw isn't perfect, it certainly cuts through the wood like butter, and it saves me a lot of time. Sanding and shaping went about as well as usual. Boogie boards are usually flat with tapered edges and don't have the same curve a surfboard does, so this was pretty easy. Just a few minutes on the sander, and it was ready for paint. As mentioned earlier, I wanted to do something fun and Halloween themed. Since the size and shape of a boogie board lends itself well to the size and shape of a traditional headstone, I thought, why not let that be my inspiration? To begin with, I wanted to try experimenting with a method of adding texture to the paint by mixing it with baking soda. As I mixed black and white paint to get an uneven gray, I sprinkled in a healthy amount of baking soda so that it would clump up and become gritty. At first I wasn't getting what I wanted. I started adding baking soda directly to the still wet paint and then dabbing over it. After doing both sides, I then tried waiting for the paint to dry a little while adding a second coat with more baking soda. And that was it. I was finally starting to get the gritty texture that I want built up. It was working. However, simply making the surface gritty is only the first step. To really make those rough spots stand out, I used a dry brushing technique with some off-white light gray paint. I had never attempted dry brushing before, but it worked exactly as expected. You just have to remember to only dip the very tip of the brush into the paint, and then brush most of the wet paint off and stroke the brush at an extreme angle, practically sideways, so that the bristles don't fill in the low spots. You only want coverage on the peaks of the grit. And that's it. That's all there is to giving an object a stony texture that resembles rock and/or concrete. Once you're ready, grab a detail brush and paint on something like "Rest in Peace" or maybe an epithet of your own. Have fun with it. As for me, there's actually another method for giving an object a stony texture that I'm just dying to try in another video. So make sure to subscribe so you won't miss it. Until then, thanks for watching.